What is up, YouTube? It's CS back here with another installment, and here is my review for episode 29 of Deadliest Warrior between Ivan the Terrible and Hernán Cortés. Alrighty, now what can I say? The match I was anticipating the most definitely ended up being my favorite of all time due to the fact that I did get my pick right. But yeah, like, these guys are two very polarizing figures in history. I thought they were interesting as hell, and their weapons were interesting as hell, and we got to see those in action. And again, X Factors won some dude the matchup. You know, if this shit was straight up Deadliest Warrior Season 1-2 format, Ivan the Terrible wins. But here, you know, X Factors considered, you know, Cortés definitely, you know, he got that shit in his favor. He definitely edged that. I'll get to the X Factors and goodies later, but let's take a look at the weapons first. Some of this shit I got wrong. Actually, all of that shit I got wrong. Like, I did say that I thought, you know, Cortés, you know, he blew me away with that long distance range test, and I thought that would dictate the pace of the battle for him and Espada Repair. It was actually his alabarda that did. And I also thought that he would dominate the X Factors, which he did. So basically, I shit the bed on weapons, and I did get the X Factors right. So I got one thing right, and because of that one thing, I did get my picks right. But now let's take a look at weapons more in depth. Alright, now I'm not going to spend too much time on this long-range bullshit. Arquebus blew me away when I first saw it in the first 12 minutes of the episode on Spike.com. I did not think that whatever Ivan had was going to be able to hang with it. But that Pistol hung with it, and it was better. I was like, wow. If you haven't seen the test, go see it. I won't exactly break them down, but I'll say this. It was more accurate, less reload time, and it went through armor more cleanly because of its accuracy. Test 2 was going through the armor, and Vlad, on Ivan's side, he fired that thing, went through the armor, and more cleanly than when Cortés's goon did it against the Terrible's armor. And he kind of missed too, showing more inaccuracy. So for basically, you know, more accuracy, you know, with that Bardish as you know, that stick to hold it, you know, with those iron sights at the end, and the fact that it went through armor, you gotta give the edge to the Pistol. I'm still in shock. That shit blew me away. So yeah, I thought they would ice the win with just that weapon. I was still dead wrong, but here, edge all the way for the Pistol. Next up, we have the blades. You know, short range weaponry. We had the Espada Repair of Cortés versus the Terrible's, you know, Sablia, that saber. And that saber, you know, you have options with it. And the fact is, you can hack, and you can stab, and it's better on horse, in my opinion, due to the fact that, you know, what are you going to do? Stab with that thing on horse? You've seen sabers, guys. Come on. Like, you're obviously going to hack with it, and you got better, you know, radius for hitting. You know, you have more surface area on that blade when you slash, and you're just going to hit a heck of a whole lot more than, say, if you stab. You know, stabs tend to be more lethal when they do hit. And to do that on horseback, you know, it's just not easy. You know, I'd rather hack on horseback. But, you know, the Espada Repair was nasty while on foot, and it displayed greater cutting power in that single test too. It was nice. What can I say? On foot, I think I'd rather have the Espada Repair, but the thing is, on foot, the Sablia, you know, is equally deadly. You know, I still think it's equally deadly on foot, but preference-wise, I'd like the Espada Repair on foot. But the thing is that definitely you have to go with the Sablia while mounted, and that's why I got the edge. So edge Sablia. And last but not least, we got mid-range with the pole arms. You have on one side the alabarda of Cortés and the Bardish of the Terrible. Now, if I'm Terrible here with his Bardish, I thought I was gonna get the edge. You know, I like that thing as a hacker. I've held it. I'm like, you can do some mass damage with this shit. And for the most part, he did a lot of damage while on foot, trying to, you know, just hack that gel torso. Then when he tried to dismount, you know, that plate of Cortés, damn, that thing's good against blades. And it showed. Definitely not a kill shot. Not at all. And then the alabarda went, damn, I'm telling you, that Toledo steel is not to be fucked with, you know. If you take firearms away from this test, Cortés whoops Yvonne's ass even more. You know what I'm saying? Like, that alabarda, I like the fact that it had options, but I thought superior cutting power from Bardish would give it the edge, and it didn't, because it couldn't get through that armor. The alabarda could get through the armor of Cortés, you know, with that, you know, that pointy stab slash thing he did against the mounted target, and then he stabbed him at the end. But before that, you know, he whooped his ass with, you know, decapitating him with stabs. You know, the alabarda, that test blew me away. Probably my favorite polearm I've seen on this show. And yeah, it did its thing. So edge, alabarda. Now let's take a look at X factors. You got the weapons side, 2 edges to 1 for Yvonne the Terrible over Cortés. You got mid-range for Cortés, and short and long range for the Terrible. Give armor to Cortés as well, so now we're even 2-2. It's just that plate armor, that Toledo steel. I told you, it's not to be screwed with. But X factors wise, I thought Yvonne was going to get wrecked, and he did. You know, all he had was physicality on him, and that's all I thought he was going to have, you know, if he was going to factor that shit in. I thought if you factor leadership in, you know, Cortés would win. That was probably factored. It wasn't featured, but, you know, you definitely probably factor that into the sim. Thought Cortés was going to be a lot more sane. I think that in itself just won him this stuff. You know, this was kind of like, you know, Saddam Hussein versus Pol Pot, kind of, you know, with the more saner warrior winning, although losing out on the weapons tests. This is basically an ancient version of that shit, you know what I'm saying? Then you had intimidation for Yvonne, but I think Cortés ended up winning that in the end. I've already mentioned psychological health with Cortés whooping Yvonne's ass. I think that single-handedly held, you know, gave him the victory. But battlefield dominance, you know, Cortés, 1,000 goons versus, you know, Tenochtitlan, and they basically whooped that city's ass. The most high-tech shit of its time in the New World, and Cortés made him, you know, bitches to him. So, what can I say? You know, Cortés is that dude, and he won via X factors, and then that in turn, you know, gave him, you know, edge in the kills. You know, that basically, you know, bolstered the amount of kills he had with each weapons, although he didn't exactly look as good as, you know, Yvonne the Terrible when they did the tests, just weapons. Again, Yvonne the Terrible probably wins this if it's just straight up Season 1 and 2 style, just weapons versus weapons. But this is what you guys wanted. Them X Factors, you got them. And just X Factors wise, only thing you can give to Yvonne really is intimidation or physicality. Like, think of something else you can give him and get back to me. But here, you know, Cortés got that ass. He won 55-45. Thought he'd win by a slightly higher margin, but I think I said around 55-45 myself. But hey, I actually almost forgot about the sim. Let's talk about that. Yeah, I looked over the X Factors. I took a look at that sim. Yeah, Cortés, you know, what can I say? Battlefield dominance. The dude just kept his cool and just kept killing. Yvonne, emotionally charged, emotional wreck, psychotic. He, you know, was quartering that dude, and then the one half of that body came with his horse when he started riding away. Thought that displayed, you know, a good sense of his psychological health. And then Cortés, you know, his lust for gold, definitely not an X factor, but I like how they showed how he basically looted Yvonne's wallet at the end. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed my review. I know, kind of rushed through this. I'm still high off watching that episode. I gotta find it online. Some of the dopest shit I've ever seen there, Deadliest Warrior wise. So fun. Tell me what you think of the episode in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you agreed with the result. Thumbs down if not. And yeah, please get back to me. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps a lot. And yeah, hopefully I see you guys for a prediction next week for episode 30 between Crazy Horse and Pancho Villa. Sick episode there. That should be fun. Who knows what happens. Again, my links are in the description below. Thanks for the support as always, and I guess I'll see you. Take care.